Here is an example of elementary school. A simple rhyming word matching or a word family match. Here we have a kitty cat, right? It's all pictures, and we're matching the rhyming word. So to use the Google form, as of a month ago, you can have pictures as the question and as the answer type. A great tool for not just elementary, but also for mathematics when you have charts and graphs you want to enter in. I'm going to go with the correct answer this time on my Google form. Now I have another elementary example. This one includes a video. They could watch this video, learn a little bit about opposites, and proceed to answer whether or not sunny is the opposite of hot, cold, melting, or dry. Again, these are just general examples of how you can apply this to a lower elementary setting using a lot of pictures and visuals. Let's look at our sample math problem. Right here we have a simple word problem where you would have to pick more than one answer. Google Forms lets you do that. We have checkboxes instead of multiple choice. So we can actually add multiple answers instead of just your regular multiple choice quiz that doesn't really apply to state standards, because on state assessments sometimes you have to pick more than one answer. I'm going to go with these two blindly, right? Another good math example, drop down true and false. Very similar to what would be on state testing. I showed a little bit of this last time. A graph, just put an image in here to be used as part of a question. And next. Here's another example where you don't necessarily have to use Google Forms per se just for academics, but you can use it to enhance your teacher workflow as well. Instead of a student taking a test, maybe you just want an easy way, almost like an iPad app, to record data. This is an example of a behavior chart, or better yet, a behavior data tracker, where you can keep track of what's going on and where it takes place, and it connects all those dots for you. This is an example of using the date function in a Google form. It pops up with a calendar. Easy, simple to use. Click. I can enter in a time when the behavior occurred. I'll think PM. Let's see. I have a drop-down box to select students, and of course I used initials to keep confidentiality in place. And I have my setting. Where did it take place? We'll say the classroom. What antecedents occurred? Let's say the student was told no, and they had a visitor to the classroom. Behaviors, tantrum, loss of control. Consequences, timeout, loss of point or sticker. Again, I'm using checkboxes so I can pick multiple answers, and I have a space to add comments if I want to. Now you have multiple choice grids for surveys. So if you don't have a SurveyMonkey account, or you want to have more control of your information, you can still use Google Forms, not just for your behavior tracking, not just for tests, but also for general survey style, which the multiple choice grid makes that very easy. This is very similar to the strongly disagree, strongly agree model. This particular one was rank categories based on need or interest for professional developments. And next, here is a classic example of how you can use Google Forms to do peer review. Let's say there was a class project or a class presentation where students had to break up into groups. Well, there's a good peer review rubric that you can integrate into Google Forms. Students would have an iPad or a device, and they would pick what project or group they're reviewing. I picked project 3. Here's another sample, presentation content. Instead of a multiple choice grid, I'm using a scale, a 1 through 5 scale. So on a scale of 1 being minimum, not very good, and 5 being excellent. The specific one, content contains several details and examples. So I'm going to give it a 5. Presentation delivery, 2, 4, and perfect. And when your form is at the end, there is a submit button. Now I do want to stress, I just linked a bunch of forms that could be separate together just to make this presentation to go a little bit more swimmingly. I want things to interconnect. So I didn't have to open up 5 different Google Forms. I had them just separated by pages. Of course, each of these could be their own individual form, and they were originally, and I'll show you how I combined them later. As soon as I hit submit, thanks to the new update for Google Forms, I can now view my score. Everything I've done that I wanted a grade for is graded instantly. I see that I have picked the rhyming word, instantly graded. It confirmed that I got it right, so it's in the green. Opposites, you know what? Apparently I know my opposites. It's in the green. Math, oh my goodness, I don't think I did very good in math, did I? I missed both answers. And instead of showing me the answer, I have it set to where it shows me my mistake, and I have a link to a video lesson. And try again to get the correct answer. So this is actual answer feedback. Really cool stuff. Oh my goodness. Hey, I got one right. Another one right. And as you see, behavior charting could be a Google form in itself, but this isn't something you would have a grade for. So there's no grades here. There's just a record of what I did. Same thing for the survey. Same thing for the peer review rubric. Now, since I'm the teacher, that's why I have this little red, well, orange on this screen, pencil to the top right. It says edit this form. So I'm going to go to the teacher view right quick. Your students would not have access to this when you send them a form. You only have access if you're in your account and you created that form. So this is the teacher view, and I'm going to look at my responses. I have 3 responses because I've done it 3 times. I'm going to show you the summary. Why was it worth putting the time to use Google Forms in the way I just showed you? Well, it's the instant grading, it's the summary, it's just the paperless feedback. It instantly gives me my averages, my median, my range for the class. Again, as many as kids takes this, the more data you would have to make it relevant, so you can plan your lessons and reteach accordingly. It will display the frequently missed questions that the students are having the most trouble with. Maybe it's a content problem, maybe the question's not worded quite the way it would require to be. And look, Google Forms builds in this little question mark that also says it's less than 50% that gets it correct. It'll consider it a frequently missed question. And also it gives me an average per question, so I can look at every question and see what students are marking. It also shows my point value. Now, as I get to the bottom, we won't see the screen anymore because we're not grading. Now we're just collecting data and comparing it. So I'm showing you right here are the quiz features. Down here, it's just the data you want to track. And I'll show you how to differentiate between grading a lesson and just using plain old data. As you see, by default, Google Forms applies charting for us. So we don't have to figure out which student has the most behavior problem if we wanted to use this way. Setting, my antecedents based off frequency and count, behaviors, consequences, survey example, excellent survey example right here, already puts in comparative bar graphs. I didn't have to do anything besides make the form and have people take it. My peer review rubric. Now, one thing I will show you before I show you how to make a form, right, because that's how I like to do things, a little backwards, but I like to show you stuff up front. So I'm in my responses tab, and I'll go over that infrastructure soon. But I do want to say that you can put this kind of stuff into a spreadsheet instantly if you wanted to. I'm not going to be going in depth over a lot of spreadsheets today. I think add-ons and spreadsheets will be a later course, but I'll show you what it looks like. If you wanted to create a spreadsheet, and I'll show you again, we'll create spreadsheet from this data. And there's my spreadsheet. It already has my score here and my whole class, what was answered for each student. Now, you used to have to use spreadsheets exclusively to grade stuff in Google Forms. Those days are past, but I wanted to show you that you can still get to a Google Sheet regardless, instead of my summary in my responses to a form, you still have your individual tests that you can print out. So every time someone takes an assessment or takes a Google form survey, however you're applying it, you still have the individual responses along with the summary. And you can rotate them right here and you can print them out.